Hello, lovelies. Did you miss me? Welcome back. It is New Game Plus is back on the air. We've come back from our break, back from hiatus. We're refreshed. We're ready to go. We're having a lot of fun. A lot of things have changed on our show in the last little thing. But you know, one of the things that really hasn't changed is the way that we're structuring the show. So I think it's time for something completely different. So this time on our little vignette, we decided that we're going to review probably our favourite restaurant in all of Melbourne, Tartar House. It's the go-to post-New Game Plus filming session restaurant. It's cheap, the food's always great, the service is always good, it gets you super quick, and it's super close to where we film in the city. We've got plenty of dumplings, everyone's happy, smile, Brandon, talk to nice people, say hello. Anyway, moral of the story is that probably one of the top 3 cheap eats in Melbourne, hands down. It's this, Empress of China, and then maybe cookie. See? And then we got more dumplings coming as well. That's how good the place is. So, definitely, if you're in Melbourne, you need somewhere that's cheap, super tasty, Tartar House. You're just gonna have to trust me. Well, one of the times of year we do love so much here in Melbourne is the Melbourne International Film Festival. And I figured the best way to discuss the Melbourne International Film Festival is to bring along our resident, I don't want to say film buff, because I don't know that accurately describes him, but Liam is here to discuss the movies he saw. You did see quite a few movies at MIFF this year.
I saw 12 this year. Good note on the film buff. I see a lot of films, but I don't consider myself a buff. There's way too many classics that I haven't seen. My pile of shame still grows longer every day with every recommendation or every time I have an impulse purchase at JB. But yes, I did see a lot of films at MIFF and I really enjoyed them. I saw 12 films, a mix of documentaries.
And there were a lot of documentaries this year. I would say it was at least half of them were documentaries.
Yeah, lots of film festivals have that, where it's the main outlet for them.
Yeah.
And then I saw a bunch of Australian films, a bunch of foreign films, so quite a good mix. And that's sort of what I like about film festivals.
Well, I guess that is the main thing that really separates film festivals from your general movie watching. Obviously, if you go to Village and you go to all of these places, and Village, different depending on which village you go to, we happen to live near Century City, so we get a lot of Chinese films, Indian films, that kind of stuff. So depending on them, they've been a bit better about embracing international films, but MIFF is always that great chance to go, oh, there's that thing that has been out for that was lauded at Cannes or was this film festival. We get a chance to see that as well, and that's probably the best thing about it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of films that you can see at MIFF or any big festival that's around the world. Is you can be one of those people who be like, I get to see this film before it comes out. So there's stuff like playing The Nightingale played, which is coming out in a couple of months in Australia. So if you saw it at MIFF, you can go, oh, I got to see it first, and you can sort of have the finger on the pulse, so to speak.
Yeah. And get to be full Melbourne wanker about it.
Exactly. Now I work at a cinema. I won't give too much information, but I work at a cinema, so I get access to movies. So for me, the film festival is not about seeing stuff in advance because I'll eventually see it, but exploring films that are a bit different. There is a type of film that generally just gets played at film festivals. That doesn't get a wider release. And that's the things that I sort of like. I saw, for example, a film called Return Home, which is an Australian film from the 90s, which they've painstakingly restored and recolored. That I got to see for the first time, and I really loved it. I saw a New Zealand musical called Daffodils, which was great.
Daffodils,
yeah, exactly. I've just been watching a lot of the Hobbit behind the scenes, so the New Zealand accent is in my brain.
Oh my, it's so triggering. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
And then I also saw other stuff as well. As I said, a bunch of documentaries. One that I really enjoyed, and I have to put a little disclaimer on it, is because it was directed by a friend of mine who I've worked with before, so a little bit biased, but it's about Susie Quattro, who I knew of but never really knew much. Like having seen the documentary, I'm like,
she was kind of the proto punk girl. I don't know, punk girl's the right word, but
sort of 5-10 years before Joan Jett, and Joan Jett sort of just did I'm going to do that, but be more famous for doing that, which is effectively what happened. But I think my favorite film.
And this is interesting because I was going to ask you, but I'm glad that you're bringing it up.
Obviously, I love film. I love documentaries, and there was a film called You Don't Know Me, which was a documentary about the creation and legacy of showgirls.
Right.
which I hadn't seen until about a week and a half ago, which is a Paul Verhoeven mid-90s erotic thriller about Vegas showgirls.
Yep.
That is ridiculous.
It's great. It's such a good, like, everything he makes is great. But like, I don't think I've seen a bad Paul Verhoeven film. But at the same time, I love Showgirls because it is just so goddamn dumb. Like, it's so great for that reason.
Yeah, Starship Troopers is one of my favorite films of all time. Showgirls is very entertaining. It's not my favorite film of all time. But this film explores a legacy and sort of the question, which is the two main theories between this film of, is it a piece of shit or is it a hidden masterpiece? And it kind of explored this option that it was a masterpiece of shit.
Yes. Yeah, that's fine.
But it was very fun. You saw a film.
I saw one film at.
That's about average.
The classic.
This is the all Hollywood films are terrible. How many films have you seen this year? Oh, 2.
Yeah, well, no, I've seen a few more this year. I saw Godzilla. That was really good. Anyway, the one I saw was Takashi Miike's new film, First Love. So. Is it Hudson Okoi? I imagine it would be. It doesn't matter. But like, basically, it sets up. You meet Leo, the boxer. He meets this girl randomly along the streets who's been held captive and is paying off her father's gambling debt to the Yakuza with sex, right? Because Miike's an edgelord of all edgelords, and it's just this. It takes place over one night, and all this like crazy dumb crap happens. And it is, like in true Miike style, it is like at once absurd and at once kind of chilling and real. And that is what he does better than nearly anyone, as far as I'm concerned. And so it's one in the end that actually had a really good ending. I actually liked the ending. And Miike, one of his problems, he's got the Stephen King problem where he doesn't know how to do an ending. But it ends really well. It was such a good film. I'm pretty sure it's coming out for a wider release soon. And it's definitely one that I would recommend.
It's fairly well known. Like, it's going to...
Miike is one of those Japanese directors that think it's like kind of like Kurosawa, Beat Takeshi. There's a few others in the middle, and then like Miike. They're like kind of the top 5 or 10 that people have heard of. But I guess that does lead us into a really good point about one of the other film festivals that's coming up very, very soon, which is the Japanese Film Festival.
Yes, so the Japanese Film Festival tours around Australia.
Yes.
So it's I think normally from like the last couple of years, Melbourne's the last city.
Yes, and I think that's to say it's Brisbane, Sydney, Perth, Canberra. All the major capital cities. I think they're doing Singapore this year for the first time.
Yeah, so I think it starts in Australia from like late September, I believe, and the program's just being launched. So that's the one. Obviously, it's a little bit more focused in on Japanese films, but even then, there's a huge wide array from animated to sort of more crime focused to absurd, and like there's always really good stuff. In there, like we've covered the last couple of years, and I've always been pleasantly surprised of the range of films.
I would say my favourite film of last year, full stop, was Asako 1+2, and that was one that I saw at JFF on a double header with Shoplifters, and Shoplifters was just meh Oscar bait. It was okay, but it was meh Oscar bait. Asako 1+2 was a fantastic sliding doors kind of thing. It was genuinely the best movie of last year. Liam, thank you very much for your time. That is going to be the end of our segment on MIFF. Don't forget to check out JFF coming up very soon as well in your capital city. So we've been off the air for about 3 months. It has been a long, long time. We've had an E3, we've had a Gamescom, we've had a lot of crazy stuff happen in the meantime, and there's been a few games come out as well. So we figured it was time to do a little bit of a catch-up. I'm joined by Megan and Jamie to discuss their break. Welcome back.
So happy to be back
on
this just delicious couch. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's very comfortable.
It is comfortable. It's very ugly, but it's very comfortable, which is...
I've taken a great break. I've literally done nothing except work.
Nice.
Yeah, and I feel like we've got a lot to catch up on. What's been happening?
Well, I guess let's cover, E3. Was there anything at E3 that made you go Zomga, like lollilops, or was it just...
Well, Keanu Reeves appeared and it was great.
Then the meme started for like 2 months.
I mean, look,
now that we have a new Matrix coming, I don't know how to feel.
Oh, yeah, that's totally a thing now.
Yeah.
Oh, God. I guess kind of the thing that surprised me was Ghostwire Tokyo.
Yep.
Because, like, hey, it's Tango making a new game, and the creative director, whose name I'm blanking on at the moment, is the most adorable human being.
Yeah.
She is within a day she gets like 10,000 Twitter followers. Like, you know what?
Yeah.
You've earned it.
Yeah,
The
no,
fir-
and-
best 3 minutes of my best 5 minutes of my life.
Very, very wholesome, and again,
Yeah.
it's not surprising considering the kind of person Mikami is. And she did a lot of the concept art for Evil Within and stuff like
And
that. as
she
well.
was involved with Okami.
Was it Bayo as well? No, it wasn't Bayo.
Yeah, no, she was involved
it
with Bayo.
Yeah, yeah. So she worked on Bayo as well. So she definitely. Again, for all the the kawaii-ness, she was very. Look at some of that art. You're like,
She went viral
Jesus
so
Christ.
quickly.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
great.
And good. I mean, that's the kind of wholesome meme that we should. And there's obviously the big conversation about whether that's being patronised or anything. But I think most of it was done in goodwill and good intention.
And
so
she
I
was
don't
genuine.
think-
She's
And she
genuine
enjoyed
about
it. Yeah. So who cares? Like, I think,
Honestly,
yeah.
like this year has been so flat for AAA game releases that the E3 had a lot of expectations. People were expecting big guns,
Yeah.
and we are getting that, but it's so far away.
Well,
so,
then you got an E3 where they announced a Breath of the Wild sequel, and they announced Banjo coming to Smash, which is like, okay, perfect,
yeah,
great.
sold done.
Well, because it's that thing. It's a pre-console release year.
Yes,
so
it is.
2020 is going to be the
Even
big
though
one.
they dabbled the new Xbox hardware,
Yeah.
I'm like, that trailer is made for developers. That's not a trailer for gamers.
Yeah.
That is a very
Sony
different
kind
level of
undercut
communication.
that a few months earlier, specifically because of that reason, because they're not going to be at E3 after
Correct.
the debacle that was there.
There's rumours for PS5 in February 2020.
I wouldn't put money
No,
on that.
us.
But they are.
Just
My sources, and all I'll say is my sources reckon that they're going to come out before Xbox. They're going to specifically
Yeah.
pip them by a few
Yeah,
months.
yeah, that's fair.
But Feb would be too early, I would reckon.
I
But
think it's a weird bandwagon for missing the Christmas.
August or September. You do August or September, and you let
Yeah.
Microsoft come out in October. That's how you do it.
Although I haven't been playing too much because for me, like what's been coming out in June and July hasn't really floated my boat. I actually went to a Women in Tech Diversity Conference in Brisbane this year.
Nice.
Which talked about women in STEM careers and how to minimise the
Okay.
gender gap and
Yeah.
bring more women into
Rad.
engineering roles, be it astrophysicists,
Yeah, yeah.
quantum computing, and game development, which was
Nice.
really inspiring.
I think that's a lot of that conversation needs to become not necessarily how do we, like, right now, how do we fix the problems right now? I think it needs to be in the next 5 years, the next 5 to 10 years, how do we funnel more, or how do we make these more attractive to women? as
Correct.
And that's
There's
where a
no
lot of
answer. Like, there's no magic
Yeah,
formula. And it was
exactly,
called
yeah.
Hopper Down Under, run by Anita B, which is a non-for-profit
Mm.
in America. And every time they do this conference over there, they get like 17,000 attendees
Yeah.
from all the different states.
Nice.
But here, the first time ever they did it in Australia, we got 700, which was massive for a
for
first
Australia,
time.
yeah, yeah.
And it was empowering and so exciting to be in a room full of incredibly intelligent women,
That's good.
all experiencing really similar things.
Yeah.
And they want to make the gender gap 50-50 by 2025, which is a big
It's
goal.
optimistic.
It
although
is.
not to,
But they're-
not to be
yeah,
cynical,
they're
but
motivating
yeah.
all of us to do little bits where we can on every level.
Yeah, again, like
Yeah.
realistically, like you've got to try, and because if you don't, what the hell's the point?
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, from that serious news,
Yeah.
I guess we're going to a more straightforward kind of, like you say, you haven't been playing much, but we have.
Yeah, talk to me about that.
yeah.
What's been happening?
Devolver's been kicking goddamn goals. Like, so they had Ape Out, which is probably one of the best games of the year, and then they had Pedro. That's a pretty good game. Like, Pedro, what was it? My Friend Pedro.
My Friend Pedro.
And it's like 2D Max Payne with acrobatics. I don't know.
Oh,
how else to
what?
describe it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
alright.
And then Katana Zero came
big
out, which
goal.
was doing 2D like Hotline Miami kind of shenanigans, but it's genuinely one of the best games of
And
the year
then
as well.
they put on Hotline Miami for a day in Australia, which was fun.
Yeah, and that's gone now. So they've been kicking huge goals in Australia, and like again, I love Devolver to begin with. Like, you know, Nina's still waifu for lifu, so it's like there's lots of stuff that they're doing that I really enjoyed. I mean, otherwise, Kill the Kill game's been pretty interesting to see how they transited that into the game. But he's
Is that on
just
Switch? Kill Cool?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
What do you
it-
think about being on Switch?
So it like you can tell that it's downgraded from the PS4 version. Like it's the same with Wolfenstein.
I guess that's what you got to do. What you got to do.
Well, yeah, and it still looks pretty good, but I mean, even putting it into the dock, you do notice the graphical fidelity increase.
But portability.
But again,
Right.
the voice acting, all that kind of stuff is on point. And it depends how much you like Kill la Kill. And I think aesthetically and dynamically, Kill la Kill had a lot going for it, but it always sucked as an anime. Like, it was just 22 episodes was too long. It needed to be 12 episodes.
Yeah,
We'll have
yeah.
a conversation once
Yeah. Well, what have you been playing, Mr. Galia?
I've been playing Final Fantasy XIV.
Nice.
Final Fantasy.
It's a great video game. I love it.
Yeah.
Also, Fire Emblem Three Houses, because, you know,
Is it built living up to the hype?
let's just say Edelgard is the best character of the year.
Whoa.
And the Black Eagles are the best.
Okay.
right.
Are we going
And
to see
it's
an
not
influx of
because it's-
cosplay now for the packs and things like that?
We'll talk after
Okay.
recording.
Okay.
Right. Well, so there's Galaga's call. What do you reckon up there for Goaty or?
Well, let's just say I may have written a piece for our website a little while ago.
Actually, I want to call that out quickly. That's one thing you've been doing in our break, is you and Matt have both been making a lot of videos for the YouTube, which you should check out.
Yes.
you should.
I like your series. What's it called? Not the
Recommended.
The Recommended. I like it because it sounds Japanese. It's like the premium malts. Like the syntax is awful yet very Japanese.
That
But
wasn't
no,
my intention, but sure.
No, it's genuinely one of the better things we've got on our YouTube page. I think people should check it out. So that's what you've been busy doing. I've been doing nothing. I did get Instagram because of TGS.
Yes,
So you
get
can,
on
you can
it.
Watch me
Selfies
Insta
for
thought.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were taking a bunch of stuff over there. We're going to TGS very soon as well, so that's coming up.
Yeah.
Tell me all about it.
Yes.
So that'll be very, very interesting. But I think we're kind of out of the drought. We've got some exciting things to look forward to. Death Stranding's going to be playable at TGS.
It's my first ever Melbourne International Games Week, and PAX
That's right, you're
from
doing
the
it,
other
yeah.
side now. So stay tuned for lots of content on that coming up.
There you go. So
Yeah.
that is what to expect coming up. That is what has been. That is what is coming up. And we will hopefully see you guys very, very soon as well. So Wolfenstein 2, what was it called? Wolfenstein: The New Colossus last year was easily my favourite game of the year. And while the rest of the New Game Plus team of plebs and they decided that God of War was the superior game, which it isn't, I still love that game so much. And there's so much I love about that game is basically the fact that, yeah, there are flaws in the gameplay. There are lots of things about the gameplay I don't like, bullet sponging, all these kind of little flaws that I don't like. But it did such a great job of creating this compelling universe where the Nazis don't die. So Wolfenstein Youngblood gets announced, which you play as the daughters of B.J. Blazkowicz as they try and look for their father who's gone off into Nazi-occupied Europe. So it takes place in the 80s, I think it's actually 1980, set after the Americans have taken back the US from the Nazis. And the girls go over looking for their father, and I can see what they've done. They've set it up as the two daughters because they wanted a co-op shooter. And I think that's fine. Like, the game itself, it has a reasonably robust engine, has reasonably robust mechanics and all of these things. So I can see what they were going for when they decided that was what they were going to do. The problem, of course, is that it is a Bethesda Softworks game. It wasn't made specifically by Machine. It was also made by Arcane, who are known for Dishonored. And that's probably the one design element that really comes across. You can tell that the amount of effort put into the levels is very much like the guys from Dishonored. It has, they all seem conducive to walking around and repeated playthroughs and all that kind of stuff that you would expect out from those guys. The problem is that it just doesn't nail its landing. A lot of the elements that I don't like about the game, too much voice lines from the girls, the way that the currency works, the way that level progression works, all of these problems from the game all really come from that let's turn into a game as a service. Now, Far Cry New Dawn, that worked because that was already a do too much stuff game, the story's kind of superfluous. Wolfenstein, I want you to deliver me like these kind of cliche characters with a lot of depth to them that are put through these traumatic experiences, get through them, fight Nazis, save the world. All of these things are what I expect out of a Wolfenstein game. And from my experience, Youngblood doesn't quite reach the heights of its predecessors. But it's not just my opinion on that matters. I've decided to bring in Jamie as well to discuss Der Wolfenstein. Glia, do you think that I've been unfair in my assessment?
Look, honestly, not entirely. Like, I think I agree with a lot of those points where it's just like, I wanted to like, much like yourself, I love those Wolfenstein games.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm happy that Machine Games got to do a different style Wolfenstein game. I think at this point they've earned it, and that's
Yes.
cool. I'm happy to support that. And you look at this checklist. Like, you have new Wolfenstein game, cool. You got to I like the characters. I think they're dorky, and I think that's adorable. It's great. I love Arcane. I love their level design.
Yeah.
Like, and I love the setting. Like, everything about
Yeah.
this should appeal to me. And you play it, and just like this doesn't.
Borderline
work.
sterile. No, it's not even sterile. It's just clunky. It just seems like it's all these elements. It's like you said, hey, let's make a stew using the broth that we got from this last one and chuck in all these elements and see what it tastes like, and it ends up coming out tasting like dish soap.
And it's kind of the worst thing because they've patched a lot of the weird. Like, we're recording this like a month after the game came out, and a lot of the issues that we would have had at that time have been patched out. Like, you couldn't pause the game at all.
Yes,
even if you were
which was
playing
awful.
offline, which
Yeah,
is
yeah.
just crazy. And they've patched that, which is better.
And so they've changed the way some of the turrets spawn. You can remove the health bars.
They've made it feel less of a bullet spongy game,
Yes,
which is
yeah.
awesome. Good on them.
Because that was probably one of the big things is like, so all the mechanics of the game worked when you were B.J. Blazkowicz, when you were the solo Terror-Billy taking down the Nazis, the Superman, and it worked because there was that element of I'm just going to die if I go into this, like that's it, and if I'm dead, I'm dead, and that's kind of all there is to it, Whereas with this, because it is co-op, and even when you're playing offline co-op, the mechanic for respawning is you walk over and you pick them up, the standard gaming mechanic, right? But there's no cooldown. So there was one part where all I did was cheese out one of the giant enemies that I was well under-leveled to fight. Under-leveled. And this, we're talking about a Wolfenstein, we're talking about level. I was well under-leveled to fight. And all I would do is, walk out, empty a clip into it, die to it one shot, spam A, come and get me up. The system would wake me up. I'm invincible for 4 seconds. Unload another full clip into it. Die. Help me. And, you could tell that it was...
an experience.
And you could just tell that they hadn't thought through the ramifications of the co-op system.
It just seems like, again, look, I'm happy they made this. I just feel like it's just such a weird mistake. Like, there's a moment of sort of talk about, BJ Blazkowicz killed Hitler. It's like, wait, what?
How annoying was that when they've got the daughters of the man who killed Hitler? I'm like, hang on. Like, you're either doing that because you're debating the third one, right? Which is fine. Metal Gear Solid's done that to great aplomb, where they've gone backwards and forwards through the chronology. So I think it can be done. But yeah, that was just, I remember when they said that, I'm like, hey, I know that that was one of the scenes in New Colossus, spoilers, where you can kill Hitler. You're not supposed to because of continuity error, right? And you die for it instantly.
But you get an achievement for it.
You do get an achievement for it. But I think that goes into the other problem that I have with the game is you didn't mind the characters, and I'll disagree with that, but it's fine. Everyone can do what they like. Like Jess is fine. I think Sophie's annoying, but that's fine. Like, at least they've got personality. But I think the one thing that gets to me is they go from we've never killed a Nazi. We've only ever, you see one of the girls fighting and one of the girls hunting a buck. And that's their experience with death and fighting and blah, blah, blah. And their mother's like, you've just got to outlast them, you've just got to out-survive them, all this kind of stuff. But then they go, literally within the space of, they kill their first Nazi and it's a team effort. And then they go from that to, cool, now we're fully proficient with every gun that's put in front of us.
Ludo, narrative, dissonance.
And it's so bad because, BJ Blazkowicz in the first one, he comes as a soldier, and in the second one, he's in the wheelchair. Remember, it's after all the bad shit's happened to him. He's wheelchairing around because and then it's him coming to terms with the fact that he might die. And then that's a major part of the story. So I just don't think they earned all the nastiness, which sucks because, like I say, Paris is a great setting. All the fake, German disco songs. How cool are the disco songs, man? They're so sick. Everything about the game should work, and yet it just feels hollow. It just feels like there's nothing more to it that I could really enjoy.
Yep, fair enough. I agree with that assessment.
There you go. Well, I'm glad it's not just me. Thank you for that. And we will see. This is the end of another episode of New Game Plus. Thank you for joining us as always. Don't forget to check out newgameplus.tv, Instagram, Facebook, what else? Twitter, Twitch. All those things, New Game Plus TV. We will be in Tokyo. I'm leaving for Tokyo Game Show in a week from the day I film this, so don't forget to let us know what you want to see. We'll be putting up some interesting posts about that. I'm on the Instagram as well if you really want to see someone thought it up. Don't want to see that. But until then, we will see you guys next week from the old country. The old country? Am I allowed to say that? I don't think I am. Doesn't matter. Japan.